It has been a little over 10 years since the end of the Civil War. King Carlos has led Spain out of the darkness and towards the one true path of Christ. In Morocco, we tested our boundaries of conviction with none found wanting. Now it sits as a crown colony of Spain with a governor placed there to oversee its conversion. The heathen will not know respite from our holy word. To celebrate the victory, the Spanish government is planning a great undertaking named the Cross of St. Augustine, a monolithic creation set on the African side of the Strait of Gibraltar. The giant cross will stand as a testament to the faith of our great nation. In Madagascar, we have succeeded in taking the tribe there under crown control and now prepare to establish Christian schools and send mercenaries, providing also a haven for trade further east to our colonies in Asia. Don Contreras, one of Spain's most wealthy new businessmen, has also been pushing the king to take action there in order to secure the guano, of which many Pacific islands have in great amounts. Bird shit, to put it simply, is at present a most efficient component of industrial fertilizer, with the industry being incredibly valuable. Proper cause to have Spain begin to seek out and claim islands in the Pacific. This is the 6th episode of a Spanish Victoria 3 roleplay multiplayer game. As our correspondent suggests, we have a long conversation due.
That is correct, and the song is eager.
To start off with, I'd like to thank you for receiving my correspondence, and I'd like to begin, if you wouldn't mind, with a short reading. A couple of preferred passages from our Holy Scripture. I will begin with a short reading from the Holy Scripture. There are 6 things which the Lord hates, yes, 7 which are an abomination to him: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that run rapidly to evil, and a false witness who bears lies, and one who spreads strife among brothers. Proverbs 6:16. For just as each of us has one body with many members, and these members do not all have the same function, so in Christ we, through many, form one body, and each member belongs to all others. Romans 12:4. As I put in my letter, I am seeking a radical change in policy for Spain, for the Catholic world, though I can only speak for my own nation, and for the future of Christendom. The Orthodox faith is a distant relative, misguided perhaps, but one that worships the same God. So I will turn to the primary matter that I approached you about, which is the concerning of an attempt to get the Pope to acknowledge a final crusade, to take Jerusalem and to establish the Holy Lands, and to once and for all purge the Ottoman heathens from this earth. I don't think I have to tell you that it wouldn't come without much toil and much shed Christian blood, though to die for such an affair, one cannot ask any more. So my question then to you is, under what terms you would wish for this to happen?
Thank you very much for us to take this visit into the St. Petersburg. I can only speak high of you as the true Christian and true conservative king and rightful king of Spain, currently in Istanbul, which is rightfully should be Constantinople. As we said in our letters to you, there are some specific terms, and I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions regarding this.
I suppose the first question that needs to be had is exactly how we would go about doing this. It was my hope that we would pursue this underneath the Holy Alliance themselves. I know that it is primarily an abstract organization that has done very little, but we feel as though Christian unity...
Well, I think if the Austrians and or the Prussians would like to join this Holy Crusade, I want to invite them. And as a Christian, I think it will be their holy duty to join that. But suggesting that we should give up any more Orthodox land, either to the Austrians or the Prussians in the Balkans, when they are already controlling Serbia, would be a suicide for me.
You will know that the Austrians will not do this for nothing. So then the question is, I do not wish to turn away another son of Christ that would wish to fulfill his holy mission. We would make it difficult for them if we do not provide.
Maybe we can make some minor territorial concession to the Austrians.
In that case, before we go to them, my proposal is thus. as I was afraid this would be the case, so I do have a solution here. Spain would suggest, then, that the administration and overseeing of the holy nation of Jerusalem then be given to the Austrians, to ensure that the heathen can properly be routed, and thereby giving them some measure of control in this affair.
These are terms what we can agree to.
Good. And perhaps
Very,
Prussia
very
then would be given a small holding in the region of ancient Iraq.
That is absolutely unacceptable for me. As you know, my tension and my dispute with the Prussians is still very, very real and still very, very close. I am not willing to give the Prussians anything.
These petty conflicts, I know they matter in the relative small spheres that you have a mutual overlapping of, only causes division between good Christian nations, the few Christian nations who hold conservative values and hold Christ above secularism and liberalism.
Well, you have to understand my real was under a proper and real threat of security concern just created inside Danzig, and Russia refused to acknowledge that, and it took me such a long time and such a lot of diplomatic talks to even just to get them to the table.
We have a general agreement. All I wanted for us is to get on the same page in regards to these issues as the territorial ones.
In general, yes, we have an agreement.
Good. And I do wish to say on a personal note that if this goes well, and even if it does not, Spain is very interested in pursuing closer relations with Russia. We sent out several missives regarding the Dutch affair in Madagascar, and you are one of only very few countries who actually gave any support.
Of course, we are more than open and more than happy to help our Spanish Catholic friends.
We need to build our government administrations. Let's build a couple more construction sectors as well. All right, for tech, we're going to go after stock exchanges, railroads, and then we're going to go all the way to mechanized workshops, and we're going to begin our massive textile industries in Spain. Welcome to Sevilla. I am very glad to have you here.
We are glad as well to be here.
We were very glad to see the contents of your message in response. Our discussions about Macau. It is quite unfortunate that the Qing have broken their word with us, but I mean, what can one say? To good Christians, word is bond, but to heathens, all manner of immorality is considered legitimate, so we should not be surprised. I wish to speak to you in this meeting regarding the future of colonial cooperation. As I'm sure you know, Morocco is at present falling to the warriors of Christ and the Knights of Santiago. When we're done with that, we intend to pursue Madagascar as a stable colony.
We do not expect to stop our expansion in Africa. Our main goal is to consolidate our presence in this area. So our next move is to puppet the Zululand, since Portuguese Mozambique is constantly being raided by slave traders, imprisoning our subjects. And
in that way, can Spain be of any assistance to you in this matter?
No, we don't think there is a need for it, though we do very much appreciate it.
We are well into our invasion of Madagascar. It's taking quite some time. We're really struggling here.
So we've made our move to the Zululand. So presently it's a puppet with a slavery banned. So our work in this region is done for now.
Given I think we kind of see eye to eye then in Africa after our puppeting of Madagascar. We are interested still in the Niger Delta region, but with Britain claiming it, that will get quite contentious. So we'll have to see how that plays out. I'm more primarily interested in Portugal's plans forward outside of Africa colonially, if you have any, that is.
Presently we don't. We had this setback with the Chinese. We had to return Macau. The pressure from the Chinese were being too much for us to deal with it. We didn't want to pressure our allies, both Austrians and the. So in Asia we lost Macau, so that would be our second region for us to expand. We have no friendship for the Dutch.
In that case, I do want to bring up one nation who has gained the interest of myself and my government. Do you know anything of the shogunate, the Japanese shogunate?
Yes. We were expelled. We were expelled by the Japanese in the 16th century because we sent them missionaries, Catholic missionaries, to convert them to the true religion, and they were expelled. Some of them were even killed.
Yes.
And since then, we had no
Precisely.
relations with the country.
My interest in Japan has come to me not from myself, but a member of the Holy Church who approached me about Japan. That not only were there Christians there who were trading, but that many in Japan were converted. He made it clear to me that many missionaries were sent there by the church, and that many of them were not only persecuted, but horribly executed. And many Japanese who saw the light of our religion converted and met a similar fate. And it does make me have an interest in potentially seeing if Portugal has any interest in trying to reestablish our positions there. The island, from the maps I see, is far too big for direct control, of course, but forcefully regaining entry and forcefully ensuring the safety of Christians and Christian missionaries there is another matter entirely.
So would you be thinking about a treaty port, or?
I am, yes.
Yes, we would like that.
As well as forcing the government there to acknowledge the right of Japanese to worship the Lord, and for allow potentially missionaries and Christian schools to be set up there.
We are deeply Catholic in our country, though our government is not very much interested in spreading Christianity, but we do have a common ground. Yes, the Japanese had a treaty port, a Portuguese treaty port in Japan,
I have looked over the records and maps of the country, and we'd be probably pursuing a more direct treaty port close to Kyoto itself to be able to ensure the government there is doing things that we can agree with. That was the primary proposal I wish to bring up this meeting with you, as again, we do view you as a very close colonial partner, and we thought that this is something that you might have interest in.
At the beginning, for the past years, we were seeing Spain as a possible enemy when we lost the Civil War, but we are very glad with our relationship until now. To be frank with you, you are the non-official ally that has brought us new territories to our empire, and like...
Resource boom. Raw good industries in Aragon are reporting a small spike in good production at our logging camps, which has led to an extra stockpile being available. Nice. More throughput. I did a bunch of decrees too, so our good outputs are really high. We're going to be increasing our centralization of our government, and we're going to be putting in place more law enforcement, as we do have a lot of liberal radicals who are causing problems in our cities. We have lost a lot of support. The industrialists especially have grown a lot in power recently, so that is proving to be a little bit difficult for us. Our investment pool is absolutely fucking massive, which is nice. The AI chooses very poor things, but it is working. Tool workshops, steel mills so we can switch tool production to steel, food industries to increase quality of life, coal mines to have domestic access to coal, and then we're going to start to build our textile mill super areas. Hello there, this is an Imperial Ambassador from the Crown of Spain.
Hello, Ambassador. Welcome to Caracas.
I have traveled here to speak with an old friend of General Rodil's.
Yes, we were expecting you. Please, follow me to the office of Juan de Olmedo.
Of course, thank you. Thank you. Please lead the way. I do apologize that the General cannot make it quite yet. He did, as I'm sure see in the correspondence, he does plan to go to Brazil in secret if things move ahead. I am a friend of both his and the King's. I speak with the General on many occasions. He is a good man, an old friend of yours, I know. General Rodil is the first marshal of the Spanish Empire and has broad authorities and power in government, but the King's will is supreme. I'm here to, I suppose, primarily determine what it is that you and your faction are seeking from us.
Yes, well, to put it quite simply, sir, the situation is dire here in Venezuela. We just received word post the South American Congress that the current dictator, President Vargas, has reached an agreement with the rest of the South American countries to propose a defense agreement amongst the Grand Colombian countries and to work unilaterally, how should I say this, to reject any European affairs in South America. Our faction, we represent the ideas of traditionalism, conservatives, and we yearn for the period where Spain ruled. However, We were seeking any form of intervention to help us in what we assumed was a threat to our sovereignty.
We are, as I'm sure you're aware, the king is good friends with Emperor Pedro, and by extension, I know the Brazilians are friends with New Granada, so that is good to hear. The question then is whether you do wish to continue on the path that you had proposed to us. Spain is very interested in, I will be honest and frank with you, a deal has been potentially worked out with the Brazilian government to facilitate this, but we also do not want to step on toes in South America. So this needs to be a thing that we want to also gauge how large your faction is and how much support they have.
Well, as you can see, we are currently building new armies within Venezuela. This notion of a threat of our sovereignty has caused quite a stir in our republic. We understand that the American territories, the American countries, would not take kindly to Spanish intervention in Venezuela. We were hoping, as the other faction, we were hoping for a protectorship of sorts, not a colony, but to join our markets and to aid Spain and, by extent, King Carlos.
You desire to support the old systems and a Christian values in your country it speaks widely to your character and to the Spanish will still seen in Venezuela. It's why we are most interested too. My king, he seeks a colonial empire, of course, but he is a man of God first and foremost. We are open to what you're asking and we'd have no issue with it. But I will ask again, how large of a support group do you currently have in Venezuela? If this is simply several individuals planning a plot in back rooms with no wider support, Spain may have to consider whether this is worth the risk.
As I mentioned in my letter to General Rodil, I currently represent the factions of the rural folk, the Catholic Church, and the armed forces. It is just President Vargas representing the intelligentsia party within our country.
We just wanted confirmation. In that case, I do have the full support of my king to make you aware of how intervention would be given. As currently the Americas is under the Monroe Doctrine, we do not wish to start a conflict with the United States, which could put our colony in Cuba in jeopardy. We have orchestrated a deal with the Brazilian government by which we will fund arms, ammunition, and any other materials needed to your party if it comes to outright conflict. We also plan to allow, we've already begun sending them, I believe several hundred are already in Brazil, several thousand soldiers as per the letter that would fight under no banner of Spain, but would give support to your government in either a coup or a civil war. And as such, we do stand ready to provide these as soon as you would like.
The news that you bring, sir, brings joy to my heart. We are ready to stand fast in defense of traditionalism and conservative values. We are ready to move against President Vargas in this coup. We will start making the political arrangements as necessary.
Very well. Anything that you need, I will put the you into contact with our leaders in Brazil. General Rodil is planning to come over as soon as news arrives, so you will be able to meet up with him very soon. We will put both him and the soldiers who are arriving in Brazil, again under no banner, and they will not acknowledge that they are of Spanish origin. They will be under the control of your new temporary government, and you will do with them as you wish.
Thank you, esteemed delegate from Spain.
Very well. I'm glad to meet with you, and I hope next time I arrive, and my king perhaps has spoken, he might wish to take a trip once your government in Caracas is under the control of the true leaders of Venezuela, and that we can speak as to a bold future together.